Hello there friends and enemies, welcome to Unfinished Archetypes, the series where I take a look at sets of cards that Konami has released that aren't quite a full archetype on their own. Today we are looking at Orichalcos, the archetype used by the villain Darts in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Waking the Dragons arc from the original Duel Monsters series. The anime itself showcases many more Orichalcos cards than we actually have. We only have 2 in the physical game, so let's go ahead and go over those today. I should say before we get into it that I don't really remember these episodes. I watched them recently being told that they were the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc, and I really did not like the arc at all. I didn't pay attention to the duels, and I didn't really pay attention to the cards. So unfortunately, I did not want to do research about the other Orichalcos cards in the anime, so that's going to kind of bog me down. So starting off, we start off with the iconic Seal of Orichalcos. This card gives all of your monsters 500 attack, and it prevents itself from being destroyed by card effects once per turn. It prevents your opponent from targeting your lowest attack monster if you have more than one monster in the field, which is pretty useful. It destroys all special summon monsters when it comes out onto the field. It makes it so that you can't special summon from the extra deck, so if you're playing this card, you want to play it without an extra deck, and you can only use the card once per duel. The only other card we have in the physical game is Orichalcos Shuneros. This monster cannot be normal summoned, and it has to be special summoned by its own effect, meaning that you have to have a normal monster on the field, and once that normal monster gets destroyed, you can special summon Shuneros from your hand. And that's a little bit of setup. It gains 1000 attack for each monster your opponent controls, and it protects all face-up level 4 normal monsters on the field from being destroyed by card effects. So those are the 2 cards, so what could they possibly be going for an archetype? Ignoring anime establishment and just thinking about these 2 cards we have now, there are 2 things that really stand out to me. The first is that it really seems to prioritize lower level monsters, which I think is a really fun idea for the game, specifically for back then. Nowadays we see it kind of more often with archetypes like Sprite and like Live Twins, but back then, we didn't really have a whole lot of lower level monster support, at least not in my opinion, so this would have been kind of a fun deck to play around with. It's also fun that it specifies normal monsters. There's not a whole lot of decks that care about normal monsters. I believe Tenyi does, and Magic Key is a deck that cares about normal monsters. So having another deck in there, especially one that was a little bit older, would have been more fun. When I was a kid, I really wanted to make normal monsters into a deck, and when Magic Key came out a couple years ago, I was ecstatic and built it. I feel like if we had gotten the Orichalcos archetype in full back then and it had focused on normal monsters, it would have been a little bit of fun deck building wise for quite a few players, at least in my opinion. I feel like these cards are pretty straightforward. I feel like any other monsters in this archetype would probably care about your normal monsters, and there probably wouldn't be too many of them so that you could fill your deck with level 4 normal monsters. Now, the seal itself, I know that in the anime it's got different levels to it, so if those were to come to the real card game, I'm not sure quite how they work in the anime, as I said earlier, but I feel like it could be a fun way of stacking extra effects onto the seal to kind of push your opponent back from touching your monsters or something such as that. Or maybe you could even have them affect your opponent in some negative way. That being said, that is all I have to say about Orichalcos. How do you feel about Orichalcos? Have you played them before? If you have, let me know down below how you feel about them, and if you haven't, let me know how this video made you think about them. If you're an anime fan, let me know how you feel about the way that Orichalcos has been treated, and how you feel the anime versions of the Orichalcos cards could possibly be converted into real life, if you'd like to. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found something to enjoy about this video, and until next time, as always, drink your water.